Today on Crossroads, we conclude our conversation with former KENS TV news anchor Deborah Knapp. When you look back on your career, what are some of the stories you're going to remember the most?
Well, of course, covering the Pope. You know, you and I have talked about that in the past. That was a real highlight of my career. And then I was fortunate enough not only to cover him here when he came, but then I went to Mexico City for the beatification of Juan Diego. And when he passed by, he was a little further than you and I are in the Pope Mobile, you just felt this holiness. He radiated holiness. And I once saw him, I was doing a story in Rome, and I was in St. Peter's Square, and he came through with the Pope Mobile, and you had that feeling again. And I covered his funeral. And that was a really spiritual experience, to be in be there at the Basilica, be there at the Vatican rather, and with Catholics from all over the world, and they were celebrating Mass in Polish and Italian, and there were people from Africa next to me, but we all understood the language in Latin. So that was a remarkable experience. I've done a lot with education. I feel really strongly about that. I did a series on keeping kids in school, and there a high school student, 3 high school students, so in the 90s, were robbing a friend's house, and she had told them, my parents are going to be gone, you can come over. So they were robbing it, and their next door neighbor was Officer Dominguez. And he noticed something was wrong, and he pulled up in the driveway. They came out, and one of the teenagers pulled a gun and executed, just killed him. And Fabian Dominguez. And all 3 of those teenagers were sentenced to death for the law of parties. And so I went to death row, talked to, not them, but I talked to another death row inmate who had been convicted, hadn't pulled the trigger. And I did a series, I wove that in, The Company You Keep. And I talked about the choices you make in high school, and whether you stay in school, get out, and look at the choices these kids made. And they ran that series in detention at schools all over the city for several years. So I was really proud of that, about trying to help kids make good decisions. I guess that's kind of a scared straight kind of thing.
Do you feel now, compared to when you started, that there's less trust in the media from the general public?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. When I started, there were only 4 networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, and PBS. And you had Walter Cronkite. People trusted you. And you felt that when you went out in the community. Now people, there's a distrust of the media. There's a bias in the media. So there's a lot less of that. That makes me sad.
Right. Just change in generations? Is it social media? What do you feel is that decline in trust within?
There's several factors. People have social media. People now, I have a friend who works for the Washington Post. We went to college together, and she said, people only want to read and watch stories that reinforce their beliefs. They don't want to watch something contradictory. Ted Koppel was at Trinity University a few years ago, and he was asking everybody, how many of you listen to Rush Limbaugh? He was still alive at the time. And how many of you watch PBS? And he was doing both sides. He said, well, shame on you if you're not doing both. If you're not getting, not that PBS is all that liberal, but say MSNBC. And you should watch the liberal side, the conservative side, the Fox News side, and then you find your truth in the middle of that. But people don't do that. They tend to read and watch things that support their worldview.
You've put on this microphone, thousands of times over the decades. What do you think you're going to be feeling or thinking a week from today when you're putting it on for the last
time? Well, one of my best friends texted me today, and I said, I'm feeling sad. I know it's time. Absolutely, and I've made peace with that. I've thought about it for the whole last year. And she said, every time you feel sad, just say a prayer to God, thanking Him for giving you this career, being thankful. And so prayers of thanksgiving, you know, and be at peace with the last time I put on my microphone.
For all our friends that are here, bless them all, bless this time that we get to share in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
SA News was granted access to film in studio for Deborah's final broadcast.
This is KENS 5 News at 5. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sarah Forgani, and today is KENS 5's and San Antonio's own Deborah Knapp's final newscast. I say that with a heavy heart, but we are celebrating her 48 years of excellence in journalism with a watch party. We're going to share her favorite moments amongst her family and friends, as you can see here live, many of whom are here with us at KENS 5 right now in the studio.
We've got a full house in Studio B right now. A watch party for Deborah's final newscast. Look at all of our family and friends in there. So happy to be here. Would not miss a monumental moment in San Antonio television for sure.
I'm so touched. I mean, good friends. Jeff Brady is here, and
Yeah.
Joe Weinig, all the guests.
Yeah, there's the exclusive Studio A seats are for Jeff Brady. Look at this. I'm telling you, we've got your whole family, including Austin.
Yes, my husband Celso. And
This
yes.
is wonderful. This
Yes,
is
it
so
is.
good.
It's so meaningful to me. Thank you so much.
Do you feel that you were in journalism at the right time? You got to go from, let's say, film to digital, analog to digital, no social media to social media, just the way the news is covered in general in this time that you've been in journalism. Do you feel that this was a good time, as opposed to like if you were starting out now, or if you were, where there wasn't this big shift in the way the news is covered?
Two freeways running through downtown tonight are back open, but they were closed for a time today. For the first time, a small child has received a kidney transplant in our city.
Now, shall I tickle your foot, or how about under your arm?
Without a transplant, Marcella would not have been able to grow and live a normal life.
Oh, absolutely. I feel blessed that I started when I did. I feel like I rode the crest of journalism, and I think it's very hard now. I mean, I would just hate to be people going on air, getting criticized with social media, all of that. That's so painful. I do think I'm happy that I was in when I was in.
And if you, fresh out of college today, or just going into college, would you choose journalism the way things are today in society?
I think just this morning I was talking to a young man who's going to be a senior, and he wants to go into broadcast journalism. I mean, if you have, there's a need for journalists. There's a need for local news. There's a need to hold people accountable. I think you have to go into it understanding what the environment is like now, and you have to earn people's trust. You have to earn people's trust. I still love journalism. I really love what I do as much today as when I started 48 years ago.
Is there a particular legacy, or because people think of KENS, they still think of Chris Murray and Dan Cook. When you have retired, is there a legacy that you hope to leave at KENS?
Well, I hope that people felt I was caring, fair. I guess that's my legacy. Yeah.
Any plans already for retirement that you're already thinking about?
Well, my daughter and 4 grandchildren live in Hong Kong, and they'll be coming over for the summer for 2 months. So I plan to head to the East Coast and spend a nice long time with them. And then I'll probably be going to Hong Kong later in the year. That's all we've planned so far. I need to get a new bike, and I plan to spend a lot of time on the Mission Trails.
Any hopes to stay somehow connected to journalism in some capacity?
Well, I've told the station I mentor a lot of our young reporters and anchors, and I'll continue to do that. So I'll continue working with them. They're just wonderful, and I love their heart and their commitment to journalism. So I will continue doing that. And I'm on the board for Alamo Colleges, the foundation, raising money for scholarships, and I'm the treasurer, which is an odd job for me. But I will continue that and continue working with our mission churches. I've been involved with them for 18 years, and Father David Garcia got me involved with the Capital Campaign, and so I'll continue helping to raise money for them and maintain them.
so many media companies are just trying to downsize and do more or do the same what they're doing but with less people, sort of regionalizing certain positions, and it's affecting so many people that have given decades into this business. I'm just curious your thoughts on many companies, not just Tegna, but many companies doing that.
Oh, it's so sad. I think AI is going to change the whole business. It's replacing people. We've already, even before AI, gone robotic in our studios and replaced people there. Directors, AI is going to have a bigger impact in replacing people. And so I think when people are looking at their futures and careers, they need to think about all of that. And who knows where that's going? Who knows?
Exactly. Anything I didn't touch on that you want to talk about over your career?
Well, I think, two of the biggest stories I covered happened just recently. We had the pandemic, and there were only 8 of us that worked for that whole year inside the station. So it was just apocalyptic to walk in there and all the offices dark. And we got through that year, and then we had the winter freeze. And I was at the station for 5 days, sleeping on the floor for 4 nights because we couldn't leave with all the ice. And we lost electricity the very first day, that Sunday night. And so it was 40 degrees at the station. And to go anywhere, you had to use your camera light, your phone light rather, because it was dark everywhere. We had lights in the studio, but that was it. And that was like some experience,
Have there been young journalists, over maybe the last 10 years that have come through KENS that maybe you've just offered to be a mentor or to kind of give them some good advice on how to be a good journalist?
Yes, many. And I look across our newsroom, I think I've worked with everybody there. We sit down, we go over their stories. Before they go out on stories, they'll come up and ask, what should I be asking this person? Am I missing something here? That's what you need to do, to be a good journalist. I do that even to this day. If I'm going out on an interview, a big story, I try to bounce it off a couple other people. Am I missing anything here? Just, like you do, and it's a team effort. So, yeah, I see a real dedication to journalism in our newsroom. Interacting with people in San Antonio and having them treat me like family, that is the greatest reward.
I have one of the most awesome basketball talents in San Antonio with me. Hi. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Deborah, I think you ought to have another one of these.
I love another one of those. He's sweet. He is sweet.
That is so wonderful. And my son said, and he's 36 now, but like 2 years ago he was talking about that. And we were at a CVS, and people came up and started talking, and he was with a friend. He says, "How does your mom know them?" She goes, "Oh, well, she doesn't know them, but they're I feel like they're family." I just love it. I love it. I was at a restaurant last week, and there was a whole group of people, and they all were waving, and my husband said, "Oh, how do you know them?" I said, "Oh, they're family viewers. They're our viewers." So I love it.
It means so much to me to sit here with you. One of your final interviews, and I like he said, I grew up. My parents watched KENS, so I grew up watching you, and it means so much to me that you took the time to come here and and talk to me.
Oh, well, I'm honored, really, Christopher, that you had me here. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who worked on this. Retirement wasn't an easy decision because I truly love what I do, but it is time, and yes, I will miss you. Thank you for inviting me into your homes and trusting me to share your stories. That trust has been the honor of a lifetime. San Antonio has been my life. My dad was in the Air Force, and it brought us here, and we stayed. After college, my very first TV job was in the Alamo City, and since then I've had the incredible privilege of witnessing this city's history unfold. I was there for Pope John Paul II's visit to San Antonio. I was reporting from the scene of Fiesta when a sniper opened fire on Grayson Street in 1979. We shared the city's joy as the Spurs won 5 championships, and I covered the stillness of the pandemic lockdown. In this job, you learn a lot. And what has always stood out to me is the strength and compassion of this community. When disaster strikes, floods, fires, heartbreak, you respond, you step up, you help strangers. Thank you for your servant's heart. When I started in television news, we used rotary phones and we wrote our scripts on manual typewriters. Now, we carry the newsroom around in our pockets. But through all of this change, one thing has stayed constant: the incredible people I've worked with. To the team at KENS TV, producers, photographers, directors, reporters, managers, you made this newsroom feel like home, and I will miss you all, especially you, Bill. To my husband, Celso, thank you so much for the many missed dinners and for always being there. And to my children, Austin and Alicia, thank you for understanding that when news breaks, Mom couldn't always be home. I'm also so thankful for every moment I've shared with San Antonians and South Texans over these past 48 years. Meeting you has been my greatest reward. And now I'll have more time to run into you, so please don't hesitate to say hello. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Good night. Buenas noches, San Antonio.